I grew up in Newcastle in England, and it was a grimy, northern, cold town. And there was no cool cars that you actually saw. And once in a while, you'd see a big American car, and that would be something that just was mind-blowing for a child.
Nadeem's love of cars didn't actually start with anything that he saw on the streets of Newcastle. His passion was supercharged by the ride of a superhero.
It's in my blood. Batman, ever since I saw them, the Batmobile was hugely influential. So that's where it started, really. It wasn't until much later on that I found out the history of the Batmobile, about what it really is. That it's actually was a show car built in '56 that was called the Lincoln Futura. Once its days were done on the show circuit, it was sold to George Barris for $1. And Batman came along, and George Barris in California was asked, can you build a car for the TV show? And he went ahead and, some would say, butchered it and destroyed it and turned it into the Batmobile.
His love of the Batmobile spurred Nadeem to begin working on cars of his own. But the first vehicle that he took apart was a whole lot smaller than the Futura.
It was a toy. It was a tin toy that my dad bought for me. He put it on top of a table, would go to the edge of a table, and then it would back up. It would never fall off. And so I started actually looking at this thing and trying to figure out how it worked. And that's really where everything started. I wrecked a lot of stuff trying to figure out how it worked, and really kind of reverse engineering or whatever you'd call it. And when I became a teenager, me and my friends, we would all just work on cars. Nothing exotic, Volkswagen Beetles, Minis, and things like that.
Nadeem's entire life has been fueled by a passion for cars and car culture. Now 60 years old, he's still taking them apart and putting them back together. His taste is eclectic. He owns Cadillacs and El Camino, an old Plymouth hardtop, and of course a few hot rods. And while he doesn't know what's on the road ahead, he's keeping himself fine-tuned just like the cars in his garage.
There's not a day that goes by that I don't learn something new. So I'm still an open book as far as gaining knowledge. I want to know more, and obviously as you get older, you're going to know more.